This in the past has been most of our attendees that come to these case studies conferences, their favorite part has been hearing from a patient they've cared for in the past, and what an impact it has to hear and see somebody who has survived some of the stuff that we do, especially in critical care, in the hospital setting, not knowing really how things look outside of the hospital. And so I wanted to share with you a patient today, so our survivor story. You can see him on camera already. His name is Michael. And I'm going to tell you this 50-year-old man last June, no significant past medical history, very healthy, very active. He was running out near Mount Hood in the afternoon, and he developed a sense of lightheadedness and brightening of the vision in his left eye. No history of headaches or migraines. And he continued to have some symptoms. The initial symptoms were much more severe, in that he did end up in the emergency department with a code stroke call, but his symptoms had improved. And so in the emergency department, it was kind of almost a stand down type of situation, not TPA, not significant deficits. But they did some imaging and found, this is the MRI of his brain and MRA of his brain and neck. So if you look at this axial view, there is density here. This is an absent flow void. So right internal carotid artery up here, this is a flow void that you should see from the blood pulsing through, I guess, flowing through that right side. This one has no flow void, so there's occlusion there, or no blood flow. Same thing when we look at the MRA. There's blood flow on that right side, but not on that left side. So obviously something's not right. And I'll show you a different picture that explains it a little bit better. Reassuringly though, that MRI of the brain shows no diffusion weighted abnormalities, meaning there's no ischemic stroke. This white up here, that is just artifact from bone. A different view of the blood vessel is you can see this right internal carotid artery coming up, going through the skull here, and that's what that curlicue is, right into the right middle cerebral artery. But this should be symmetrical. We should have a left internal carotid artery on the other side, and it is absent. It's occluded from a dissection. And so based on his ongoing symptoms here, he continues to have some blotchy vision, gray vision of that left eye. Remember, you have an ophthalmic artery that comes off of that internal carotid artery. And so he's still having some left eye vision issues, and and a significant long occlusion from dissection. And so it was decided to admit him to critical care and do a heparin drip. Was doing okay. 24 hours later was in critical care. He was texting with his wife and was normal, last seen normal at 21:30, so 9:30 at night. And his wife was there at the bedside, and at 6 minutes, 6 minutes later, his wife noticed he had stopped responding to texts, and the wife is who notified the RN, who saw him then a couple minutes later, and he was hemiplegic on the right side and aphasic and had a left gaze preference. His NIH stroke scale was 25 at that time. So, then we go into rapid response code stroke mode and try to do everything again. Not necessarily eligible for thrombolytics with heparin on, but I'll show you specifically the imaging component. So he was, they did a CT, I don't think they ended up doing a CTA again. They just did a CT to make sure there was no hemorrhage or whatnot. We knew he was occluded, so he did go and get an angiogram. And you can see on the angiogram, again, that there is no blood flow up. This is the external carotid artery perfusing the face and the skull. But there should be a large amount of perfusion up the internal carotid artery to perfuse this brain. And they worked hard to, the neurovascular surgeon and interventionalist worked hard to get this open, and definitely had some struggles to do that. You can see this flow catheter here and some of the guide wire up, and kind of how ratty that carotid artery is a little bit, and that you can still see the wire in there at the time of this picture. But now you do see blood flow there. It was opened up, not perfect, but a lot better than it was. And so I do want to show you the next day MRI does, despite getting that artery open, there was still some ischemic stroke in that left hemisphere. It could have been a lot worse, could have been a lot bigger areas involved, and with a lot more concern for swelling and edema. And I think the rest of the story is best told by Michael. So Michael, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm at a pharmacist in the ICU. Gonna tell my story. Chronologically, based on my steps. So journey began on 23rd. My family and I.
Let's try and stop the echo.
Yeah. Is that better?
Better? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. My journey began on Tuesday, June 23rd. My family and I had a cabin at Zigzag at Mount Hood. We loved the experience of doing stuff in the woods. We already enjoyed a hike at Trillium Lake, caught some salamanders, and got bit by mosquitoes. Then we went on a 3-mile bike ride, listening to the kids moan and groan and telling it was just a warm-up. And so this was the cabin. And then this is the hike. And so you can just show those, but and then Italy. And so nothing. This is a picture. The moment I found out I had an internal carotid dissection. So I was running, and I felt a blur in my eye, and I took a picture, and I didn't see anything. So and so the kids were playing games at the cabin while my wife was taking a nap. Taking time to enjoy myself, I went on a run. The sun was out and it was a wonderful day. We were going to go fishing after dinner by the creek by the cabin. At the 1.5-mile mark, I experienced some dizziness, lightheadedness, and flashes in my left eye. This was nothing I had felt before. I was about 1.5 miles from our cabin and there were no cars around. I drank some water at the stop, but it didn't help. I had a phone, but I didn't know the phone number at the cabin. I could wait for a car, but I didn't know if a car would show up. My left eye was blurry, so I closed my left eye and started running back. Not a good thing to do with the sun so bright. I had to stop running because the sun was so bright. After a few moments, the trees were able to block the light, which helped. This was the most grueling time in my life. I didn't know if I would make it off the road or to get to the cabin. When I got home, my wife, who was a nurse, checked my pupils. They were only off by 0.5 millimeters and they were nicely reactive. I felt some anxiety over this. I called my primary PCP, who said we should have it checked out. Our plans were to go to Gresham, but we decided to reach out to Trex's friends, who invited us to come to Providence, Portland. So and the emergency room was Ron Tall, and he asked, did I have any high blood pressure or anything? And he's like, no. And he's like, the MRI showed an internal carotid dissection. It was 100% included. Bad word. There were some issues: a bleed, a left eye vision loss, and stroke. They started a heparin, and I was admitted to the ICU. And we already showed those. So what I did, I ran a lot. So I was the fat kid in college. I cooked pizza because it was healthy for me, not good. After I reached 208 pounds, I started to start working out. John, a friend, and I started running. At first, it was only 1 mile. That was a hard run. Then in bed, I reached 11 miles, and it felt great. After this, I moved to Portland and started running more. The first race I did was a 2018 or 1999? 1998 marathon. It was hard. I finished in 4 hours, 24 minutes, but I had the bug to do more marathons. I did marathons in Oregon, California, and Hawaii. I did a half triathlon, which is 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile biking, and 13 miles running, a race in Hood River and Bend. I did Tough Mudder in Oregon and Washington. Then I wanted to do something different with my running. I wanted to run the number of years I was in miles. It took a little bit of work to do. The first 2 years I had an injury and couldn't compete. Then in 2018 I ran 20 miles.
2020 miles.
2029. 20 miles. That was a success. Today I've completed 10 marathons, 2 half triathlons, and 2 Tough Mudders. I never found out why I started running. Maybe it was the weight. Maybe it was to start running more races. But I know for sure that my rehab did better because I started out healthier. Doing runs at 4 a.m. has helped me tremendously. And at the time I was vegan, so I was running and my health was great. So there should be no issues for stroke. But I had it. So the morning of Wednesday, June 24th, I'm currently in the ICU. My wife brought me the board-certified pharmacotherapy study materials because it was due on July 15th. My wife was talking to me about my conditions. I rarely get choked up, but I did. Losing my sight in my left eye was way too close. At 8 p.m., we started a movie, Wreck-It Ralph, with my kids and my wife at home. After some time, my wife and kids were worried about me because I wasn't responding. I tend to fall asleep during movies, and my kids have to say, "Daddy, are you asleep?" After a few times, my heart dropped because I could not respond when they were asking me to. At this moment, my kids were calling, "Daddy, are you awake?" At this moment, I couldn't hear the sounds coming from the room. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. After my nurse came into my room, everything went blank. At some time, my nurse, Trudy, answered my phone and said, "Monica, there's been a neural change. You should come in." I don't know how long I was in the room before my nurse came back into my room. I remember sitting on the bed, not being able to move my left side. I couldn't move. I couldn't get the control stick from the bed. I sat there doing nothing, hoping my nurses would come soon. I don't know how long I was in the bed, but it felt too long and felt unrealistic that my nurse would show up before I could die. So that's, that was concerning for me because I didn't know if I could actually die because, who knows how long I was in there. And that was a scary part. My wife and kids were worried about me and I couldn't do anything. So this is secondhand information because I was in a stroke. My wife arrived when I was coming back from the CT. I was minimally responsive, had no movement on my right side, and couldn't talk. The plan was to take me to the CV lab to remove the clot. They would like to remove the heparin and give TPA. This was not a standard practice, but they feel this is what would be the best chance to recover. And then Mortine, it's 12:39. I was still in the CV lab, but Ron Tall told me they were able to remove the large clot. There are still a bunch of smaller clots further up. I basically had a shower of emboli and suffered stroke in many areas of my brains. They're proceeding with TPA and removing the stent placement.
Placing the stent placement.
The stent placement. At 1:45, the stent placement was successful. I originally had 100% occlusion of the left carotid artery. Now they have re-established flows. So the CV team saved my life. They did everything they could to recover me, and I'm thankful for them. Thursday, June 25th, my friend Lynette, she worked with me in the time, sat me and worked with me on my speech. Although I was having trouble speaking, I was told I was able to sing ABCs and say happy birthday. I passed my swallow evaluation and fed myself some applesauce. It took me a few moments to adjust using my left hand.
Let's see if there's a video. There might be a video.
Yes.
I do have a video, so let me share this part.
Sing happy birthday.
Okay.
Ready? Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bella. Happy birthday to you.
Good, now we're gonna do ABCs. We did that last time too. Ready? A, B, D, E, F, G, H,
I, J, L, N, S, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I saw my daisies. Now we're the all with me.
Now let's do the other one we worked on. We worked really hard on I love you, Monica. Look at him. He's like, oh, put me on the spot. Remember? I love you, Monica. We did that one last time. You're gonna cry and you're gonna make me cry. I love you, Monica. Your turn.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. I love
you, Monica.
Oh, baby. Do it again. Do it again.
Oh, baby.
You got it. You're doing it, Michael. Good job, buddy. Good job. You got it. Let's try it again, okay? You've got this. Ready? That came out beautifully, Michael. Okay, look at me. Let's do it again. I love you,
Monica.
Say it to her. I love you, Monica. Well done.
Right.
So yeah, so that was a few days after my stroke, which is great because I could say something, but it was convoluted. But I'm happy to be alive, so that's okay. So my daughter Bella FaceTimed me, and she was prepared to her daddy to have triple talking. Bella said, "Hi, how are you feeling?" Bella did great, and it was good to see her. My kids texted me multiple times in the ICU, but I didn't remember any of them. That's my brain after a stroke. But I know they were there. Dr. Roncal said I had suffered a substantial stroke. No one can ever predict how the brain will recover, but they say there is a chance I will not make a full recovery in my speech function nor my motor function. At this time, my brain is still swelling, but I am a determined SOB. But I'm not that okay anymore. I'm not an SOB anymore. I was moved to 4K on July 1st, which was an acute rehab use in PPMC. There, I work hard on speech, physical therapy, and exercises. I made progress each week, and the staff was amazing. COVID really had me bummed. We had a lockdown at 4K, meaning we were only able to walk around the halls. I was missing home and couldn't see my kids. It was hard for me, but they FaceTimed me a lot. I was able to leave the hospital 4 times to see them. So I was able to leave for 4 times for an hour, and that was okay. And I got to see my dog. I was in 4K for a few weeks before I came home on July 29th. We had a huge parade for me when I came home, and I was happy to be home. But I knew things weren't going to be easy. So here's so it was a
Can you see that?
Writing. This here.
So that one is
Your name.
Michael. It's not there because I can't write, but I was there. The next one is Bella. It doesn't say that as well. I love you, Monica. I don't know those words. And then home and hospital, they asked me where I'm at, and they said both. So I'm not sure how you can do both, but I'm okay with both of those. So my first walk was on June 27th. 2 people had to lift me, and I maybe went 10 steps. But I was okay with that because I could walk. So here's another video. So this, I had a list of probably 20 words, and I didn't know any of these words. So I mean, by Michael. So this one should be another clip for Michael.
Yeah, let's get to that one. What date was that?
June 4th. I think so.
Is that the Michael? Read it
Yeah.
your name.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay. So what's that word?
There is Michael, Michael, Michael.
Who's Michael?
That is Mike. Yeah.
Who's Michael? Who's Michael?
There is
Who is?
Michael.
Yeah, that's Michael.
Yeah.
Who is Michael?
There is. I don't know.
You don't know who Michael is?
No.
You're Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's it. So that is a thing.
Are you a thing?
Yeah.
Oh. Hi, thing. Hi. I love you, thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know my name. So it was, yeah, so I think after the stroke, my brain kind of shut off. So I didn't know my name, which is kind of bizarre, but you have to move forward from there. So I know my name is Michael. I worked at Providence for 23 years, but I couldn't say 23. So I had to write 23, and I could say that, but I couldn't say 23. It was just, there's just a motor neurons that I could do 23, but I had to do 23.
Stop.
Well, yeah. So Monica, she works with me, and we play skip bow, which is great. And sometimes I won a game. I'm not sure how many, but I got some.
Or all.
Or not, yes. And then this is my first brace. It's a skull and crossbones. And Gavin likes the skull, so that's what we did.
Your son, Gavin.
My son Gavin. I didn't know my address or phone number, and it took me a while after I got home to even know those numbers. I know where I could live, but I didn't know the address. And then so I had these pictures, but I didn't know any of them. I knew I couldn't say the pictures because I don't know the words. They were in my head, but I couldn't know the words. So and I would do that every day. I would try to pick out a picture and identify it. And then we do things. I get up in the morning and I go to the gym. So my wife gets a banana and I write messages on there. So it's Bella, Gavin, Michael, and Bella, and it's a happy family. So that's what we do. Is we're a happy family, and that's what we do. Let's see. And then July 29th, I got to go home, which was great. And I still, even though I'm still not fully recovered from my stroke, every day makes more impact on my progress. And then where is this? Lynette, she's where does she live? La Center. So on my wife's birthday, we went on a paddleboard, and I had a brace on, and I was like, all right, I'll just sit by the water. And Bella and Gavin and Monica did it, and then Monica says, well, you should do it. So I did it, and it was great. It was being off on the water, and it felt great. So these words, I couldn't say them at all when I got to speech therapy. So apple, Coke, I couldn't say any of them. Orange. But after probably several months, I can do all these words now, but and write them, yes. So I'm right-handed, so now I have to use my left hand, but I'm pretty good about it. I can actually write pretty clearly, which is pretty good. Occupational therapy, yes. So to help with my therapy, I hired some nurses from Linfield to help me with my speech. This has changed everything for me, from telling time, writing sentences, counting, and sounding out letters. Apples to apples is fun when playing with nurses. We got to go on lots of walks. We got to go on lots of walks to help with my walking because I wanted to be able to run. I would go 10 miles a day, and now I can't do that. So I want to run soon. We'll see how that goes. But without the nurses, I wouldn't be where I am. One of my nurses says, you are so determined and always wanted to do better. You never get down on yourself, which is a trait I believe has helped you get this far. Over the past 7 months, Michael continually makes progress, and is amazing to see one week his ability to struggle so hard on a word or a number and then come back the next week and acing it. So it's just every week you learn things, and it grows, and and then as things gets more, I get more words, and then everything blends. Should I say that? So complications. Everything isn't ours all rosy, so that's a razor burn. So I shaved my head, but I didn't realize how bad a razor is. So I get it. So I have a new razor that doesn't affect me so bad. I had a mole on my nose that I had to remove after the stroke. And then the words, that is bowl, but I didn't know that because I didn't know bowls. I didn't know plates, cups. So even that bowls, I didn't even know that word. So that's no, was that?
Welcome home.
Yeah.
No. Welcome home.
Oh yeah, and that's my homecoming. So there was welcome home. Bella digs the stairs, and then there was a parade when I got home to say I'm happy you're home. And then is there another clip?
I was thinking about showing you on your bike. Is that okay? We're getting kind of out of time here, so let me play this. Oops, I think I didn't do it right. Let me back up for just a minute. Okay, I think I'm sharing with the audio.
All right, Mr. Athlete. Tell me how it feels.
I feel awesome.
You are awesome.
I know,
I know.
but that's what I feel.
How does your heart rate feel?
Good.
You're pumping away?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Doing pretty good. Thank you.
Okay. What do you want to say to all your fans?
I love you.
You gonna blow them kisses?
No.
Okay. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Alrighty, so I could go on lots more about my history, my the rehab, the nurses. I could go on, but I think we should do questions if you have any questions.
what I see are mostly comments about what an inspiration you are, Michael, and thank you for sharing your story. Many people that know you are so happy to see the progress you've made. Some have said, what a scary adventure you've survived, and thank you for helping us see through your life-changing experience, and what an inspiration you are. Michael's video clips make me tearful. His recovery and wellness is apparent evidence of teamwork, including his family and care providers. Much success to you in the future. Maybe I'll pick on Natalie in your office, or do you, or is it Monica that's with you? Or do you have any thoughts while you listen? Natalie worked with Michael. It's definitely different now, right? It's definitely different. Monica, how's it been to try to rally the troops?
Yeah, definitely challenging. No, it's constantly evolving through Michael's changing levels of independence, and even I think his cognitive ability to grasp where he's at. I think that's kind of where we're at is, we were just talking about this recently, like his ability to understand where he's at, because with him going through this process, he realized that all the stuff I told him that he had been through, when probably like a month after he got home, he got to read through the journal that I'd kept for him. He didn't remember any of that.
Yes.
So, like a couple months after he got home, he thought, hey, I'm doing pretty good. And now reflecting back on that, he doesn't even remember that time. So, he thought he was doing really good a couple months after he got home. And now it's like, wow, I don't even remember that time. So I keep reminding him how amazing he's doing right now, and how amazing he was doing 2 months after he got home. So he is breaking the mold for recovering from the significant stroke that he had, but just to remind him that he does still have a significant way to go. And that's not to get him down, and it's not to make him feel bad or like he's not making progress, because he has made so much progress, but there's still a ways to go. And he's got people by his side. He's got my support and everybody's support. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but there's a ways to go.
Yeah. One thing I always talk about, and I think we kind of do in neurology, is, with brains just take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and my brain is starting to kick in the past few weeks, so it's, so we'll see how that shows up more.
Right.
Great.
But he's made amazing strides time and time again, and very proud of him and impressed. And like we keep saying right from day one, if anybody can do it, Michael can.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed, I know that your right side was affected, and you said you're right-handed. How much are you using your right hand? Because I've seen some of your videos, and you've been able to do stuff with it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no feeling in my right hand, but just from proprioception and your movements, I can still move it, but I can't, so you have to watch out for me, because I might you know, I might trip on you or bump you or knock over a glass because I don't see it. So I try to not use my right hand so well or right now because movements are tricky.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know we've gone over time, but I do again want to very much thank you, Michael. I hope that you enjoyed sharing your story, even if it was just part of your story.
I enjoyed it, yes.
Yeah. Amazing story of, you know, surviving and then also thriving and working on rehab to continue recovery. And we all wish you well and hope that you continue to improve and progress because we know brains can still improve.
Yes.
Yep. I
hope so.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank everyone that attended this conference. I am hopefully everything